The topic today is the climate. When we talk about the word generally climate, we often get confused with the words climate and weather. There is a lot of difference between the words. We generally use them as synonyms, but at a specific point or at a given place, when we talk about the atmospheric condition of a place, that is known as weather. For example, when we are talking about the atmospheric condition of a place of today or tomorrow or yesterday at a specific point at a given period of time is called as weather. Weather describes an atmospheric condition of a place. It can be relatively hot or cold or humid or rainy or different patterns of the atmosphere, but it is for a very short period of time. That is called weather. When we talk about the word climate, climate refers to the condition, the sum total of the condition, means the average weather condition of a place which is estimated, studied thoroughly for a long period of time. When I say it's a long period of time, I mean here an average of 30 years of time is being taken into consideration before coming into conclusion of any particular place climatic condition. So, the atmospheric condition of a place which has been studied for a very long period of time under continuous observation, and finally we come into the consensus stating that what is a climatic condition of a place. So, here weather refers to a short period of time while climate refers to a long period of time. Generally it is observed for 30 years of period. So, the people, those who study about the weather of a place is called meteorologist, while those who study about climate are called as climatologist. So, that's about the introduction of the lesson. Now, we have certain agents which do influence the climate and the weather of a place. What are the agents generally are? The temperature, the precipitation, the wind, the humidity, and the seasons. These five are the important agents of weather which change the atmospheric condition of a place. Now, moving on to understand about our country, that is India. What is a climatic condition of India? It is appropriate to say that in India we have a monsoon type of climatic condition. Generally, this type of climatic condition exists in the southern part and the southeastern parts of any hemisphere. So, as latitudinally India falls towards the eastern side and the northern eastern side of the southeastern side of the Asian continent. So, we can rightly assume that India has the monsoon type of climatic conditions. And understanding about the monsoon type of climatic condition or the climatic condition of India, we need to remember that though India has generally a common phenomena of climatic condition, but still it has perceptible regional variations. So, when we talk about temperature, when we talk about precipitation, in the perspective of temperature and in the perspective of precipitation, we find some notable changes, some notable variations in the climatic condition of India. So, let us take an examples. Where do we find the variations of climate with respect to temperature and with special focus on precipitation? Now, as I mentioned earlier, we shall look at the perspective from the temperature first. Let us take in summer, the temperatures in Rajasthan reaches up to a height of 50 degrees, while Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir is recorded as 20 degrees Celsius, while in the winter in Jammu and Kashmir you have minus 45 degrees Celsius recorded at the Dras sector, while 22 degrees in the Thiruvananthapuram of Kerala. So, the temperature keeps varying from place to place, though these all are parts of the same country and generally have the common phenomena, but still they have perceptible regional variations. This is in temperature. Now, let us look from the precipitation point of view. The precipitation varies in Meghalaya, it is 400 centimeters per year, while moving to Ladakh and the western Rajasthan, it is 10 centimeters, which means very less. And generally in the entire nation, we have rains falling from June to September, while Tamil Nadu experiences rains from October to November. So here also we can notice the variations at different places, and this brings to us the knowledge that the climatic conditions vary from east to west. As we move in the northern plains, from east to west, we get the rainfall being decreasing. In the similar way, the temperatures are varying from place to place. This started to show its impact on the people's lives, housing, food habits, and all these things. So now let us learn in detail how the climate gets varied from place to place and what are the factors that are actually affecting and bringing the changes in this same country, but getting variations from place to place. Now let us see the climatic controls of in general. The climatic controls in general are the latitudes, the altitudes, pressure winds, distance from the sea, ocean currents, relief. When we talk about the latitudes, for example, a land is located nearby to the equator. There it experiences very hot temperatures because the sun rays falls directly. This we can know with the knowledge of the latitudes. Then when we move to the next part, altitudes, the altitudes means the level of the land from the sea level. As we move away from the sea level and go higher, the temperatures go on falling down. So altitudes definitely have their influence on the place of the climate. And pressure and winds, basing on the movement of the air and in which latitude they are present and at which altitude they are present, that also brings variation in the movement of the winds with the force what they are coming. So they reduce the heat air towards the other side, and so they brings the cool air and they start changing the winds. So we have that movement that will be affecting the atmospheric temperature of a place. Distance from the sea, when we are close to a sea or a water body, the temperatures remain moderate because the water absorbs the heat and maintains the land to be at the normal stage. When we are away from a sea, it definitely doesn't have much influence on the land, so it becomes very problematic. And here we have dry when compared to the lands which are closer to the sea. And when we have the ocean currents bring in the warm ocean currents in the winter season, and the similar way they take away the warmness in the summer and bring the cool ocean currents. So these ocean currents also affect the climate of a place. Then coming to the relief, when we are staying at a place where it is very highly elevated, like for example you are staying at a mountain or a hilly region, when it is very high, if it is objecting the rain bearing clouds and all, one side you have heavy rains while the other side, leeward side, will relatively be dry. So these all factors directly influence the climate of a place. That is the reason why they are rightly known as climate controls. So now let us find out what are the factors that influence the Indian climatic condition. Now we shall discuss about the factors that are affecting the India's climatic condition. First, let us take about the latitudinal extent of India. As we all know that India has one of the important tropics passing through India, that is the Tropic of Cancer. The Tropic of Cancer passes through the Rann of Kutch in Gujarat towards the eastern part of India. So half of the India falls into the tropical zone while the other half falls into the subtropical zone. So India rightly has a mixture of tropical and the subtropical climate effect for us. So northern India receives much less heat when compared to the southern India because it falls into the tropical zone and that falls into the temperate zone. So like this we have temperature being influenced by the latitudes of India, that is especially the Tropic of Cancer, because the Tropic of Cancer passes through the center of India. Next we have the another important factor, that is the altitude. The altitude, as I mentioned earlier, is the level above from the sea level. We have Himalayas. The mountain range, the average height of the mountains is around 6,000 meters in the inner layers of the Himalayas or the greater Himalayas, which object the movement of the winds which are coming from the other side, from the Central Asia. And in the similar way we have the coastal areas which are 30 meters above the normal land sea level. So altitude also plays a very vital role in determining the temperature of a place. As I mentioned earlier, when we move away from sea level, or when we are moving higher towards the, from the sea level to the higher elevation towards the atmosphere, we get the temperatures dropping down. And the third important factor, that is the pressure winds. The pressure winds are upper circulating winds, pressure and the surfacing winds, and the circulating winds. These all winds which originate in the local regions and pass on through different passes and gather the moisture and everything and influence the land masses. So we have different effects of this one. First major effect what we have is the Coriolis effect. Generally in India we get winds which are coming from the other parts, but when the winds which are coming from the northern side, we get them and we do not receive much rainfall, because the winds which are coming from the northern regions, which are in the subtropical regions, get the high pressure belts. From that high pressure belts, they start to move towards the southern side, towards the eastern southern side. That is, when the earth is rotating, because of the Coriolis effect, the earth moves round and the winds starts to move in the reverse direction. Like on the north they move towards the eastern side, while on the west they move towards the on the south they move towards the western side. This is the reverse law or the Ferrel law, where it states that because of the movement of the earth, the movement of the winds on the northern hemisphere move towards the eastern side, while in the southern hemisphere they move towards the western side. This is a Coriolis effect stated by the Ferrel's law. And because of this, though the northern hemisphere, though the subtropical regions or the high pressure belts in the north brings the high pressure winds towards the Indian side, but India doesn't receive any rainfall, because these winds do not carry any kind of rainfall or moisture with them. But when it comes to southern region, the southern ocean, from where the high pressure belts again start to move on, they move towards the equator with the movement, with gathering of the entire warm moisture which is over the oceans, and then they move towards the equator, and from equator they turn towards the eastern side. So we get the monsoons which are coming from the south and the western side tilting towards the eastern side. So we experience heavy rainfalls in the Indian mainland because of the southwest monsoons which are coming from the southern ocean. So we have winds coming from north, coming from south. From the north we get winds but no rains. From south we get winds and we also get heavy rainfall. And we also have jet streams. The streams which are coming from the western side are having very huge, enormous energy with them, and they come with a huge force. That is the reason why they are known as jet streams. These jet streams generally come at a degrees of the latitudes like 27 degrees to 30 degrees, wherein they travel with a speed of 110 degrees or 110 kilometers in summer, while in winter it goes up to 184 kilometers. So that's how the jet streams also influence the climate of any particular place. The main factors which are affecting the climate of India are the latitudes because of Tropic of Cancer, the altitudes, the Himalayas and the coastal regions, the third, the pressure winds, the fourth, the Coriolis effect, the Ferrel's law, and the southwest monsoons, and finally, not last and the least, but it is the jet streams which are coming with a very huge speed. These all are the important factors which influence the India's climatic condition. Now let us discuss about the monsoons. Don't get terrified with the flow chart what is being given or the mind map which is given for you. It is made it easy for you to understand. Let us go point by point. Let us see here. First, what is the meaning of the word monsoon? When we talk about the word monsoon, the monsoon was first recognized by the Arab merchants who used to sail all along to India from Arabian countries in order to do trade. So they were completely at the mercy of the wind. When the wind was in favor to them, they would have a safe drive. When it starts to reverse, they would have the impact of that one. It was very difficult for them to travel. This reversal of the winds was first observed by the Arab traders. So the reversal of the wind is known as Mausam, which is an Arabic word, later came to the formation of the monsoon. So the literal meaning of the word monsoon is the seasonal reversal of the winds is known as monsoon, which has been derived from the Arabic word called Mausam. In Arabic, Mausam means change of the movement of the winds. So that's how the meaning of the word monsoon has come. And what or how is a monsoon increasing, or what are the factors that make the monsoon rains to occur? Let us see one by one. First, the reversal of the winds. Second, the differences in the heating and the cooling of the land and water. When the land is heated to a very high temperatures and when the water is having the difference, so now this low pressure area starts to get the pressure from the water body where there is a high pressure. So air moves from high pressure areas to low pressure areas. Automatically the water vapor starts to come in the form of the winds. That results in the movement of the winds, escalation of the monsoon rains. The second major factor what we have is the ITCZ. It's Intertropical Convergence Zone, which means that here the northeastern and the southeastern winds converge at a point, which are the winds which are present nearby the equator. They move 5 degrees apart from the equator, parallelly to the equator, basing on the movement of the sun. If the sun is moving towards the northern hemisphere, they move towards the northern hemisphere. If they move towards the southern hemisphere, they also move towards the southern hemisphere. So this movement also brings the monsoons towards the land from the ocean currents. The third major factor what we have is a high pressure in the Madagascar region. We all know Madagascar is found in the Indian Ocean, where it is away in the Indian land. So from here 20 degrees south you have high pressures which are moving towards the northern part, and they bring enormous energy with them and also moisture with them, moving towards India and causing Indian rains or monsoon rains in India. And then we have the Tibetan plateau. In summer the Tibetan plateau gets heated up continuously, and it is nearly 9 kilometers above than the normal land. Vertically it's very high and the Indian land is very low, resulting in the high pressure. So from there it starts to flow down towards the Indian side. The warm winds come down, the cool wind starts to move from this side. So that also causes the monsoon effect in India. And the jet streams visit in India in summer season and cause its impact, so that the high pressure starts to get reduced here. So now again the movement starts, and moving on to the region where these monsoons occur is 20 degrees north to 20 degrees south from the equator. The movement of the wind only can be transformed into monsoons when it is in the very close quarters of the equatorial region, that is from 20 degrees north to 20 degrees south, and it also causes different effects like the southern oscillations. When the temperatures or the variations of the pressures occur, generally in the Peruvian coast we have the cold winds moving on, cold currents moving on. When these cold currents are being replaced by warm winds, then we call it as El Nino effect. This El Nino effect means the southern oscillations, the change of the movement. Generally from the southern ocean towards the Pacific Ocean, we have the movement of the current winds. But when the southern ocean or the Indian Ocean, since pressure reduces, and from Pacific Ocean when the pressure moves towards the Indian Ocean side, so it means that they are in the reverse oscillation. So this reverse oscillation is called southern oscillation. This happens starts from the Peruvian coast, replacing the cold ocean currents with the warm ocean currents, and then the differences of the currents will be in negative because they are moving in the regular reversal form than their original form. So that forms for us a difficult situation and it results in the bad rainfall or low monsoons for us. This El Nino effect occurs 2 to 5 years, from where again it also changes. So this is also known as ELSO. It is El Nino Southern Oscillation. So the Southern Oscillation or Southern El Nino effect is very common nowadays because of change of the temperatures or because of the global warming. We can find that the pressures towards the Pacific Ocean are increasing and towards the Indian Ocean are decreasing. So when high pressure to low pressure, when the winds are moving from the eastern towards the southern side or from the north towards the southern side, the cold ocean currents are being replaced by the warm ocean currents. So the differences of the currents is, if it is in negative, that results in the El Nino effect, which will directly impact the monsoon rainfall of any country, because the monsoons will come only when we have cold currents more when compared to the warm currents. Warm currents do not carry much moisture with them or rain bearing effects with them, but in the cold currents they carry water vapor and moisture with them. So that results in the causing of the rainfall. Here they are being forced to convert into warm ocean currents because of the movement of the warm ocean currents which are moving from Pacific Ocean towards the Southern Ocean. So we have the poor rainfall during this period of El Nino effect. El Nino is a Spanish word which derives for us that change or new child or new person coming in or new changes happening. That's what we can find from the regular phenomena. We find a difference here. That's why it is known as El Nino or ELSO effect, El Nino Southern Oscillation effect. So the main reasons for the monsoons is, monsoons are nothing but the Arabic word mausam, which is the seasonal reversal of the wind. It occurs only at 20 degrees north and 20 degrees south, closer to the equator. It happens because of the differential heating of the land and the water. It also happens at intertropical convergence zone, where the southeast and the northeast winds converge and they form very close to the equator, and they run parallelly at 5 degrees to the equator, and they move based on the movement of the sun. We have high pressure belts also present in Madagascar, because of which we are experiencing monsoons towards India. The Great Tibetan Plateau, which is on a vertically very high level from the Indian land, that is 9 kilometers away, which is also creating the movement of the winds. And we also have Southern Oscillation or the El Nino effect, because of which the movement generally happens. Last but not the least, we also have jet streams visiting India during the summers, which also change the ocean or the wind patterns in India. And now let us see, how does the monsoons onset in India? In which month does the monsoons come over in India, and when do they off or leave India? Let's find out. Now we shall look at the monsoon onset. How does a monsoon forms? This is all we have discussed. Now let us see, when does the onset of the monsoon actually happen? Here the monsoon generally spreads over from 100 to 120 days. The rainfall, the normal rainfall suddenly grows up and increases. So the increase of the rainfall suddenly is known as the cloud burst or the burst. This happens with the onset of the monsoon. So this is a symbol that the monsoons are on set on the Indian land. First they come in the month of June in the Arabian coast. Then they divide and join towards the Arabian coast and the Bay of Bengal coast. The first Indian southern tip in Kerala, they experience the first showers of monsoons, and later it goes on up to Mumbai, the Konkan coast, and then go to the Mumbai, then to the Rann of Kutch, till there in the month of June up to the 10th of June. While in the similar way, the Bay of Bengal part also gets the monsoons, and from there it sends directly to the Assam region, where from there it has been reverted to the western side, and then it reaches to the Indo-Gangetic plain, and it started to cause rains, and it is around some 29th June is the tentative date wherein it reaches the Delhi and the northwestern parts of India. With this, the entire rain started to spread over the northern India. So from the 1st of June to the ending of the June and the middle of the July, it starts to spread over the entire country, and the entire country would be influencing by the monsoon rains. It causes the rains in the entire nation. So that's how the onset of the monsoons bring rains in India in a span of 0 to 45 days as soon as it touches the Indian land, and it goes on spreading till a certain date, and then there is a withdrawal procedure which is very rapid in our country. So first the withdrawal starts from the northwestern side in the month of September, and then it moves on towards the northern side. Slowly it starts to take off from there, and finally towards while that time it reaches towards the south, it comes towards the end of the October, where the offset of the monsoons comes to end. So the onset in the month of June and the offset, but they start to turn completely off the Indian land by the end of December or the first week of January. In the meanwhile, the Indian land would be experiencing the winter monsoons. So the temperatures will be changing, the entire thing starts to move off. The island parts of India would be getting the showers in the first showers, and then they will be getting showers in April and May, and also in the December and the January time, where that's how the onset and the offset of the monsoons happens through a systematic procedure, and there are many scientific reasons, and we also have seen the factors that are influencing the monsoons of a country, especially India. Now let us learn about the 4 seasons of India. Seasons. We have discussed about the monsoons. So it's not only the monsoons that influence the climate. Generally, with the onset of the monsoons, with the offset of the monsoons, we have variations happening in the day-to-day temperatures, and this is resulting for a pattern of 3 months, and the changes are happening. So we have seasons in India. We have 4 major seasons. One is the cold weather season, next the hot weather season, then we also have the rainy season, and we also have the seasonal post rainy season. So these 4 seasons are prevalent in our country. Let us first learn about the first major season, that is the cold weather season. The cold weather season starts in India, in the northern India, in mid of November and be present till February ending. So here during this period, when we look at the temperatures vary from the coastal areas to the inner lands. In the coastal areas, the temperatures are up to normal from 30, they fall down to 24 to 25 degrees. While moving on to the northern plains, they move on to less than 10 degrees, 15 degrees to 10 degrees, or sometimes below than that, basing on the severity of the winter season. And now the nights and days are also different. The days are warm, the nights are cold. The duration of the daytime starts to reduce while the nights are longer during the winter season, and the winds which are flowing from the land to the sea, or here you find winds coming from the sea towards the land. Generally in the winter season, the water bodies have more pressure when compared to the lands. These are the dry lands, and these do not have much pressure. They are the low pressure lands. So the sea or the water bodies have high pressure. So wind is nothing but movement of the air from high pressure areas to low pressure areas that starts to move from the seas towards the land. This sometimes causes rainfalls in the Tamil Nadu region, the Tamil Nadu coast or the Coromandel coast, which results in the October to November, and these winds do not bring much rains towards the other parts of the country. And we also have some showers of rainfall because of the winds or the streams which are happening from the northern side, and the jet streams which are coming from the Arabian coast towards the inner parts of the land, and that causes a small amount of rainfall, that is the Mahavat rainfall, which is a very important source for the Rabi crop. These are the main features for the cold weather season, that is the first season of India. Now we shall look at the second important season, where we have seen discussing about the rainfalls. Now we shall discuss about the hot weather season or the summer season in India. The hot weather season comes because of the northward movements of the sun. globally the heat belts shift. Because of the shift in the global heat belts, that start to show its influence on the Indian land. Especially from the month of March to May, all the lands of India experience very hot climatic conditions. That is, let us look at the temperatures to understand it clearly. It is from 38 degrees in the month of March, it goes up to 42 degrees in the month of April, while 45 degrees in the month of May. So this shows for us how high the temperatures go on increasing. There are certain special places where the temperatures are registered up to 50 degrees, and the temperatures rise result in the fall of the pressure, and then automatically this results to the formation of the winds known as low winds in the northern and the northwestern plains. Those are the hot, dusty, strong, dry winds which flow all along the day, and they continue even till the evenings. So this makes little bit relief from the hot temperatures, but really very difficult to sustain there. And sometimes in the Bengal region, these winds also cause some small showers of rains during that period, because they bring some of the moisture winds also into the land. That is why they are known as Kal Baisakhi. And by the end of the summer, that is by June, we get to the small showers of rains that are helping in the states of Kerala and Karnataka, the ripening of the mangoes earlier. That's why they are also known as mango showers. So the summer starts in the month of March and ends till the end of June, or the starting of the June. May completely we have summer, because the northward shift globally of the sun results in the formation of the rise of the temperatures and fall of the pressures. This pressure will always be very less, so we could not get much winds towards the land, and this results in the low winds, which are hot, dry, strong and dusty winds in the northern and the northwestern region. When we move towards the western side or towards the Bengal region side, the West Bengal region side, we get the Kal Baisakhi, because sometimes they also bring rains for us, and the mango showers, these are occurring in Kerala and in Karnataka, which happens or helps the mangoes to ripen further. So they are known as mango showers. This is about the hot weather seasons. Now let us look at the rainy season. The rainy season occurs from the month of June, where the land has been completely dry because of the high temperatures. Land turned into a low pressure land. So now it attracts the southern trade winds towards itself. So here from the southern ocean, the wind starts to cross the equator and turn towards the eastern side, resulting in the southwestern winds, monsoons, which are coming into the Indian mainland with a velocity of 30 kilometers per hour with the speed, and they start to reach the Indian mainland and start to bring the showers on the two floods, like in the Arabian edge, and also the other one is the Bay of Bengal. From the Arabian side, it reaches to the Konkan coast and then to the Ran of Kutch, while in the eastern side it goes to Assam, turns reverse western side and comes into the Indo-Gangetic plain, and then spreads over the entire country while it reaches to the Himalayas, and then it starts slowly to retreat its monsoons. So in this process, the Western Ghats receive very heavy amount of rainfall, and they, as they move on advancing towards the Mausinram in the Kashi hills, receive the world's highest rainfall place, while in the Ganga plain, the rainfall from the east to west starts reducing, while it reaches to the western Rajasthan region and the Gujarat region, where it's very scanty and the rainfall is very less. And this monsoon is a sudden, and it has different breaks. These breaks are mostly rainless breaks or intervals, and as it moves towards the Himalayan region, as the pressure changes, the Himalayas, where it rains very heavily when compared to the plain lands, and these Himalayan rivers are filled with the rainy water, resulting in the devastating floods of the Himalayan rivers. So that's how it has various impacts on the life of the Indian farmers. Especially the monsoons are unpredictable. They are very irregular in their timings. Sometimes they come late, sometimes they retreat late. So they directly affect the Indian farmers on a very large scale. That is the reason why it is rightly known as the Indian agriculture is a gamble of the monsoon. Basing on the monsoon only, millions of the farmers do their agriculture. But still, Indian monsoons are still unstable to predict, and they come and they move, but it's very difficult to say the day when they come and the day when they start to retreat back. But the influence of monsoons is being felt all over the nation on a very wide scale, because in Meghalaya we receive heavy rainfalls, in the Himalayan belt we receive heavy rainfalls, the western side of India we receive very less rainfall, near the Western Ghats and the other Deccan Plateau region also receives huge showers of rainfall. Yes, it is associated with the breaks, but still it spreads over 2 to 3 months and then it starts to retreat back. This is about the rainy season of India. Now, the post monsoons or the retreating monsoons. These retreating monsoons start from the month of October and spread towards the month of November. As the sun starts to move towards the southward, they change the direction, that starts to show its impact, and as the influence of the monsoons is felt very less, and the wind starts to move away from the northern plains towards the south, where the monsoon's influence is being felt very less. As the time passes on, the day temperature starts to rise up and the weather humidity starts to rise up. This rising of the temperatures results in the outburst of the heat known as October heat. Because of this October heat, the pressure started to rise up here, and this pressure moves towards the Bay of Bengal region, and in the Andaman Sea, this pressure starts to build up depressions and resulting in the formation of the cyclones. These cyclones come back and affect the Tamil Nadu, the Godavari Krishna Delta region, and also the states like West Bengal and the Bangladesh, where they cause very devastating conditions. These cyclones cause very terrific rains, and this may lead to lashing floods and causing great damage for the property and the human life. This is a special feature of the retreating monsoons. Now let us discuss about the rainfall and the importance of the monsoons in the Indians' day-to-day life. Now we shall discuss about the distribution of the rainfall. The distribution of the rainfall is very different from one side to the other side. On the northeastern side, we have it is very high up to 400 centimeters, while moving on towards the western side, it falls down to just 60 centimeters, while it is very low in the Deccan, in the Sahyadri region, and also towards the Leh in the Jammu and Kashmir region. Well, it is moderate in the entire other parts of the nation. So this unevenness of the rainfall is common because of the monsoon nature or the monsoon phenomena. If it rains heavily, it results in the floods. When it rains low, that also affects, resulting in the droughts. On the leeward side, most of the areas are prone to droughts, where on the onward side, most of the times we find floods. Now, how are these monsoons bonding the people, or how are Indians associated with the monsoons? The Indians, though the monsoon rains are uncertain, though they are uneven, the life of the Indians is very closely associated with the phenomena of the monsoons. Yes, the monsoon rains are clearly uncertain, they are perceptible, and we cannot dictate or we cannot estimate when does it come. Sometimes even they fail, but still, year after year, many millions of the farmers wait for the monsoons, and this is very closely associated with the agricultural calendar of India, from where all the festivals are associated with this one. So the showers of the monsoons set the agriculture into motion, and then these rivers, the India may be divided in the form of rivers, but the entire rivers are getting water supplied mostly by the monsoon rains, which also unite and form like a single river unit. So monsoons, though they are uncertain, though they are uneven, though they are sometimes gambling the agriculture, but still the Indian farmer's life. So with the onset of the monsoons, the cropping pattern starts, the agriculture gets set into the motion, where with the rains and after the crop has been done. We have many festivals associated with the day-to-day life of the Indians. So the monsoons is a unifying bond of Indians with the nature. So that's what we have in this lesson: the Indian climatic condition, weather, and also the 4 major seasons, and how do monsoons act as a unifying bond between the nature and the Indians.